So I don't want to talk and do a big introduction, because if you start reading about Henrik and you start digging deeper in what you have done in work, I was blown away. Because it's not only the depth and the amount of releases that you've been working on, but also the collaboration and the width of music that you actually cover. So we're talking about more or less all different music styles. Classical music, jazz is involved. There's R&B, there's pop, there's electro. But there's actually from the musicalities, there's no limit, right? Or is there anything that you haven't done? Reggae, maybe.
For me, it's just learning, I guess.
Yeah.
So my perspective was never genres or anything. I just never had the chance to be musically trained. And I think, like, now looking back, I think the only thing I was doing was learning. And so I started listening to stuff, being a fan of hip-hop when it first came to Europe, which is very long ago. So
tell us about, like, how do you end up having this career in music? You didn't study music.
I listened very closely to the talk before when it came to the genes. Because I was wondering, I always had that very strong urge in me to make music. But first I was not allowed to play the drums.
Why? Because Dad said it's too loud?
It was the wrong instrument. They asked me to play the guitar. I didn't want to play the guitar.
Not the guitar. We had a guitar before, right? We had many guitars this morning.
But I knew the drum would be the thing for me. So I didn't learn an instrument. And then when computers came up, this was to become my instrument. So I started listening to hip-hop, and then I loved hip-hop. So I wanted to find out what the samples were. Where is all this coming from? So I learned about jazz and funk and soul. And then when drum machines and all these things, synthesizers came, and especially computers, that made a big change for me, because that was the moment when I thought, I might be a musician. At that time, I didn't think I was to become a musician. I just thought I could make something that was music with the computer. And then also
how old were you at that time? What age?
I was 20. A friend of mine, he had a very rich father. He bought him a computer, and I went to work and bought a sound card to put it into the computer, because I had a feeling this is going to be great. Yeah. And it actually took us because there was no internet. So I got a crack.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Can you imagine?
There was a generation without internet. There was AOL and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
CompuServe, maybe. No.
Yeah, I didn't have it. I didn't have a computer, so I had to use the computer of my friend, so I talked to many people to get a copy of that music program that the professionals were using. I had no clue. So I got one small disc from a guy, and we put it into the computer, installed the program, and it was all black and white, and we didn't have a clue. It took us 9 months to get the first tone out. But when that happened, I was so happy. I'm still happy. And I thought, okay, so maybe I can do something. And I think this is what I've done so far. Just take one step, take the next one, be patient. And then, so I went into electronic music. And then
Stevie Wonder, Mary J. Blige, Coldplay, Michael Jackson. I mean, you made it, right? I mean, it's this, like, from this thing, working out and putting your sound card into your computer, and then what happened in between, Henrik? I mean, I was reading all these collaborations you had and all these.
I think I was lucky, and I was very lucky, and but also patient, and I don't know the English word. What is Beharrlichkeit?
That's a nice word.
Yes.
That's a very nice word. Anybody knows the perseverance, right?
I don't give up. I never give up.
Yeah, that's
it's something I can say. I go on. It doesn't matter. If there is something, and because also I think I don't have a target, so I don't want to be this or that or make this or that. I think I just want to learn. So this is how all these things happened, I think. So you get asked to make a remix for something, then you do it. Okay, then you get another remix. And
so did you start? Maybe you tell the audience. So did it all start with remixes? And and what moment you actually became like an artist in terms of your own creation and compositions? Because I remember the time when DJs didn't really play a role, right? They were not. But we had a moment in music here, in Germany, when suddenly DJs became the new artist. They were actually seen as an original artist and not only playing other music.
Yeah, I was a bit too late for that, actually. For me, it all came from Detroit. So Detroit techno came to Europe, and then Europe or Berlin and Frankfurt made their thing out of it, their version of it. But I was too young when that happened, and I was a warm-up DJ for big DJs at that time. But I had never thought. I thought, like, back in those times, usually those youth cultures lasted for, I don't know, 5 years, and then you had something new. And so I thought, yeah, techno is going to be here for 5 years. It's already here for 4 years, so I'm not going to make it. So I was happy being a local DJ. Warming up, I was super happy. But then this techno thing just got bigger and bigger, and then also when the computers came up, I started producing my own stuff, and I was doing that for 10 years in the basement of my parents' house, and many people told me, what is this? This is not music even. And then after 10 years doing that, I was lucky. Someone took one of my tracks and made a record out of it. And that was a very big thing, of course.
Who was it?
That was Sasse from Mood Music. It was in 2002 when the record came out. And actually on the next day, Giles Peterson, great radio DJ from the UK, he played it in his show, and on the next day, my email, I had email then, my inbox was full.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it went.
But you got lucky with this one, but there was more luck coming, or isn't that something that at a certain moment it reflected just your talent and your creativity? I mean, it's not easy to get collaborations with the artists I just mentioned. Did they call you? Did somebody call and say, "Hi, this is Mary J. Blige. Can I speak to Henrik or Stevie Wonder's office?" How does this work? I mean, from outside you don't know, right? You think this is magic. How does it work actually?
Well, they don't call. It's not so romantic. It would be great, and it's not. I mean, a management emails another management, and then they kind of talk, or some email you directly. I was always a big fan of a direct conversation, and but I don't know. I never trusted myself. This just happened. I don't know, very few years ago when I thought, actually, this is good. Some of it was actually good. It was never my perspective. I was always, and still today, when I'm getting one of those emails asking for something, I'm super happy. And when they don't come for a couple of days, I'm not so happy. So, because I don't trust it. I never trusted it.
It's interesting because it reflects actually the insecurity that we heard before.
Yeah,
right? That
I think
you have as a creative person.
It's a very important thing as well.
And tell us a little bit about your interest in these. I mean, you said you are agnostic when it comes to genre, but still there's not so many producers, DJs with your background that also take a step into jazz, take a step into even classical music. I don't know if you remember the iPad Pro ad that was Apple put out, and there was some classical music in the background. That was Debussy, remixed by Henrik for Apple. Yeah. Yeah, just one.
This was actually, I got a call from Apple.
Okay.
This was one of those. This was one of those.
So here
moments,
we are. We got it.
Yeah, where I was like, Yeah, I thought it was a joke, but
You didn't believe it? Okay.
no, it was no joke. Yeah.
So, but still, how did you enter that space as well? Because actually, I would say even maybe the jazz bubble, and there's a classic bubble, and those,
Yeah.
you know, they all know each other, but you're coming from a completely different angle, right?
Yes, and this is actually very important for me because, yeah, I've never seen myself as a musician because I respect those people who learn all their life how to play and get this intelligence to be able to do all these things, and I don't have that. I can do it with a computer, but not with a piano or a guitar or not a drum kit. So when I got asked there was a friend of mine who told me, you know, I'm managing this guy, Bugge Wesseltoft. I think a few people might know him. He's a great piano player from Norway. And so he said, you guys should talk. I think there is something between you. And so there was an afternoon when Bugge came to my house, and so we stood there in the kitchen, and then he said, yeah, I'm playing at Babylon tonight. You just joined for the encore, don't you? And I had never done anything like that, and I'm just using a computer. And at that time, I think I had one controller, but I found it pretty exciting because he's just such a great musician. I fully trusted him. And that was one of the very, very important moments in my life because there was a very, very serious musician trusting me, taking me serious. This had never happened before. So I went there and we improvised 45 minutes without even knowing each other.
On a live set with audience.
Yes, with the audience. And when we finished, we were like, oh, there is something, indeed.
And the audience also said, yeah.
They were clapping. I don't know if they were clapping him or, I don't know. It was his show. It was nice. It was very nice. And so we started working together. And so he plays a big part because he always took me so serious. And I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
We had big respect of your competence, right?
In a way, yeah, because he was always saying, yeah, you do it so well with those computers, and I was like, okay, it was fun, and he taught me so many things, and so from there I got a little bit more confident, and then it went on. Yeah.
And you made an album together, right?
We made an album together, yes, and play many shows together within the last, 15 years, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Yeah. And on the classical side as well, who pulled you into classical music? I mean, there's also, I know we have some composers like Richter, whatever, that, remixing some stuff that was like an early time when classical music was reinvented a little bit.
Yes. Who took me there? I think it was the Red Bull Music Academy, mm-hmm. and it was the Stuttgart orchestra. They wanted to make something special, and I think they were looking for a DJ who could put some kick drum under the classical music.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do that. This is something I knew because I found it, aesthetically disturbing. And so I said, I guess this is not going to work, but I'm very into the idea of doing something with an orchestra, but you have to send me someone who knows what he's talking about, because I don't know. I can just comment, and I can just put my computer in context to the orchestra. And I think I had an idea what I wanted to do. So they sent me a young arranger, Johannes Brecht, and we got along really well. And so we were discussing a lot, and so we were trying to write some of my electronic stuff for the orchestra.
Oh, so the other way around.
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't want to use the kick drum. I mean, it's the most important thing we have in electronic music. I love it, but not there. And so we wrote a couple of things. It was very difficult. The performance was very difficult. The rehearsals were very difficult. It was a very new experience for me, that things can be so tough because it's me. And then there's this orchestra of 80 people. They do that since all their life. And then they ask you, is it a C sharp or a C here? Because they know exactly that I don't know that.
What did you do? You said, uh-huh.
Yeah.
How did you respond? I mean, did you conduct them as well? You had a conductor.
No, I cannot. I would never do that. They stay to your what you know. And so I had a vision, but it was raining heavily, so we couldn't do the show. And I was kind of okay with it. But we did another show in Tokyo with a very young orchestra, and they were completely open-minded to the whole idea. They were so passionate about doing this. And so we arrived, and they had rehearsed so much, and so we sat down, and they were just playing it.
Right away?
Yeah. I was blown away. And so we did this show in Tokyo, and it was great. I loved it, and I've learned so much during this process. Again, even I thought, I'm never going to work with an orchestra again. This is too much. It's too difficult for me because the knowledge is not there, and also you have to write. You have to learn to write for them. It's in the beginning I thought this is all easy. We can make it, but it's actually a very different thing. It's what I know now. I said I'm never going to work with an orchestra again, and then I got this call from Metropole Orchestra. If this was 1 week later, if
oh my God, the worst.
If I would write something for them.
Oh. Can you read notes, actually?
Now I can, but I couldn't when they asked me.
Okay.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I think this is the thing I want to say. I'm working.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's hard. Yes.
Yeah.
It's new challenges. I think I don't have fear. I think this is something
that's good.
I would never say no, so I didn't say no. I said yes, of course.
You did, and you did.
I did. It was a huge challenge. I had great help from Jules Buckley, the conductor. Incredible guy. He taught me so much again. But I realized, hey, you have to do your theory. This is not gonna work if you don't sit down and learn. I mean, it's important, very important, and I always wanted to do it. So I thought, now is the time. And that was very interesting as well because once I started naming the stuff I was doing since 20 years, it got very interesting, and it's still very interesting now because now I see, I can do these chords, and then because that was always very difficult for me. I had 3 chords, and I wanted a 4th one. It took me a week to find it.
Wow. But you found it.
Well, I found what I thought sounds great.
Yeah.
But now I know where to look. So this is a little bit better now. Yeah. That's how it went.
No, great. I think looking at your, whatever you call, you don't want to call it a career maybe, but you want to, it's a journey of growth, and it's a journey of learning. And this is pretty exciting because I remember when we had our first conversation, if you have too many interests, and you have a lot of interests,
too many,
you always think that you actually can't do anything really good. And you always think that somebody will find out that you actually are just a lightweight in any special topic, right? in a country like Germany where experts are celebrated, only expertise, you'll feel insecure all the time, right? That's the thing. So I think you did very well. I'm so impressed with your work, and I wish you, all the best and continue to, be like that.
Thanks a lot.
There's so much more to learn, and please, give us more of your beautiful music. Thank you so much for coming, Henrik.
Thanks a lot for having me. Thank you very much. Thank you.